want to put some respect by Barry White's name. That's one of the baddest cats that ever laid down tracks in the studio. When I heard them strings, oh, his strings were something else. I'm tell you something. To this day, like I love spaghetti wholeheartedly. That's one of my favorite dishes, and sometimes I throw some videos on here. Well, do you know that pasta strings are my favorite strings? And a lot of that is due to Barry White because the strings made me think of Barry White's music, that maestro, that touch, them symphonies and those compositions where those rhythms and those cadence were just so spectacular. And how the sharpness and the tones and how he'd have multiple guitars going and they'd have their own sound and voices are speaking. And he just had such an elaborate tone that his music wasn't just R&B or just pop or it had like a layer of feeling that you couldn't even put a tone cut word to because it had someone call it disco. I've heard some people call it champagne soul. It depends on whatever you want to call it, but Barry White was a heck of a great composer, profound lyricist, had one of the strongest voices that you're gonna ever hear. He was soulful to a fault, and he just kept it black and raw. Loved his harmony. Uh, him and Gene Page arrangements were spectacular, and he just knew how to just take a song and just butter it with so much feeling and warmth. And he was a sensual artist, but wasn't tacky with it. He had style with it. He had pizzazz with it. Them strings, the floats, the feelings, the arrangements. They had depth to them. They had meat on the bone to them. So when you heard those harmonies, you fell in love, you enjoyed, and you felt something. So he's one of the most important artists ever, as far as I'm concerned. He hasn't got enough due. Um, he was one of those artists that I got his box set. I enjoyed his journey. I enjoyed the feeling that he would put down to it. Like when I hear something like "Can't Get Enough of Your Love, Babe," and then that vamp and them hooks, I can just sit there and listen to that all day. Same thing with his ecstasy. That just the way that opening used to be. Let's give you a little old school moment. So I love that song so much I had that as a ringtone. So old school know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a ringtone on your phone. I'm not talking about on your cell phone. I'm talking about on your actual phone when you called up and you hear that progression coming in. But that was one of them cuts that, I just loved it. Oh, what a night for dancing. Just the harmony and the tone and the feel and the chord progressions and just the way he built up the music and he made you feel something with what he was doing. Um, Incredible talent. As a matter of fact, and I remember, he was talking about in his book, because it had an impact when you listen to Michael Jackson's "Don't Stop Till You Get Enough," because those horn charts, if you listen, da 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 da, and you hear that groove, and you're like, Barry had that pulsing sense of rhythm and time and encounter that he just put into his melody. So I always had much respect for Barry White, and I wanted to give him a shout out on this. Love that music. He just laid it down. He made you think too, because one of the most underrated cuts is "Following Your Sea." That's message music. So he had a message of love and hope and understanding, and he made you think and made you feel something. So I was a powerful force. I was a powerful brother. What he was about. He was about that business life too. He talked about that industry too. He kept it. He kept it raw. He kept it black. He kept it real. So put some respect by Barry White's name.